Welcome to New Hampshire Politics with John Burt. I'm John Burt. I want to thank you for joining me today. And today, guess who we got? It's Bart Fromuth.
How you doing? Nice to be here.
Well, I'm glad you could make it.
Thanks for having me back. It's nice to be on the show with you again.
Well, I can't thank you enough. I've seen your show, and I was warned that I better get back because they're going to bounce me out of here, and you're going to take over my show.
Either that, or they're just going to shut down the program entirely. I don't know.
Well, that's true. There are a few in Goffstown.
Some of the subject matter that me and Representative Anman got into. But.
Yeah. No, I think there's a few that would love to see the show go down, but I'm sure the viewers would miss the show.
Well, we missed you, and I know you've had a couple shows since then, but
yeah.
Hopefully Disney World was enjoyable, right? Disney
yes,
World?
Yeah, it was Disney World.
Yeah.
I think Disneyland's out in California.
California,
right? Yes,
yeah.
that's a separate. Yeah.
So,
and,
excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
No, I had a great time, and I should have brought the picture, and I didn't. But my friend Heidi Bernier, that they moved to Florida, her and her husband Richard. That's who we stayed with. We went around and we had the alligator. I don't know if I sent one of those pictures, but we showed some alligators. And this is in a reserve, it was all protected and
right.
everything. Well, they shut this section, the road, the little walk-in road, like a trail, they shut it down because they showed this huge, this alligator was monstrous with this little alligator in its mouth. And I'm like, uh-oh. So if I remember, I'll bring the picture and I'll show it next time because it was like, wow. So
man.
And I guess down there, they're in breeding season right now, the alligators.
Okay.
Yeah, so all you hear is this, this deep, thump, thump, and they're making noises. So they're saying they're pretty aggressive right now. But I guess normal, they hate us.
Yeah.
They want to be away from us.
Keep their distance.
Yeah, they don't like us, and I guess we don't taste like chicken to them. And yeah, and Heidi did have some alligator meat. Have you ever had it?
I've actually no. I've had it one time. I had it.
She said it's all right.
It's okay. I had I went to this restaurant down. I think it was Fort Lauderdale. And we had, as an appetizer, they had something called alligator bites. And it kind of tastes like squid a little bit. It's like a fried squid type thing. It wasn't bad.
I think I'll pass.
I didn't know I was eating alligator bites at the time. I was famished, and they were already on the table. Found out after the fact.
Yes.
But it wasn't bad. So I wouldn't have eaten it had I known. But
yeah. Well, I wonder how many of the viewers have eaten alligator. I bet you a few of them have.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't like deer meat. I'm not a big deer meat fan.
Neither am I. I think
it's kind of gamey to me, and I just
the consistency is a little off-putting to me.
But people and I think what happened to me is, it was my ex-wife now, but my wife then I think she cooked it wrong.
Yep.
So I had this, because everybody says, oh, you got to cook it a certain way, and then it tastes a lot better.
Yeah.
And it was just really bad. So I guess I'm kind of happy because now I don't hunt, and
right.
Which I do support deer hunting. It's very important in the state. But I'm going. I can go to Market Basket or.
Well, come on down to the new Whole Foods in Bedford. So.
Yes, that's true. Now, who's your neighbor to Whole Foods?
Fresh Market.
Yeah, how are they doing? Is the store still full?
Not really. The Whole Foods, and it's funny because they're essentially the same kind of style of market.
Yeah.
And,
so why is the other one so more popular than Whole Foods?
Well, no, the Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. They're the new ones.
Yeah. And
okay, Market. Then Fresh Market.
You would just to look at it. The lines out there, the parking lot every day is just filled.
Really?
And so I was going to go check it out for the first time last week, and then I moseyed on over to Fresh Market because the parking lot was empty, so I figured I'd throw them a bone because they've been there for a while. But I went in there yesterday to the Whole Foods, and it's got like its own restaurant inside. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
I guess I really should.
We should go to the bar sometime and just have one of their $59.95 Miller Lights. But it's almost like you're in like a warehouse. Like and I've been to Whole Foods all over the place. Especially when I lived in Cambridge years and years ago. This one had a very warehousey feel. Like you just, it goes on and on.
Oh.
So I don't know. I probably still like the Market Basket in Bedford better. The ones on the Goffstown line.
Yeah.
Just because it's more of a, I don't know, like a normal feeling to me. Whereas this kind of felt like I don't know. It's an experience though, so maybe it'll grow on me. But
well, I like going to Sully's over here in Goffstown. I do a little bit of shopping, but I live in Penardville, so my wife mainly goes to Hannaford's.
Yep.
But, we occasionally will sneak down to the Bedford Market Basket.
Yeah. Well, that's my go-to, and that's near my house. So
Oh, it
and I
is,
think the prepared foods are pretty fantastic over there. So
And I got to go down and check out the Whole Foods and those places.
I'm sure the Whole Foods actually probably has alligator meat. Just by the size to stack the shelves, they have.
Now
to
a head of lettuce is like $28 a head.
I meant to check. I meant to check and write it down just so I could set the record straight, but I neglected to do so. But next time I go, I will find out.
Okay,
so.
yeah, because I know like over to Sully's or Hannaford's, locally we can get them probably for $2.
Right, it's a better deal. Yeah.
So that's what I always put on Facebook. I'll say, I don't mind paying $28 for a head of lettuce. And shockingly, nobody comes back and beat me up.
Well, like I said, I'm either going to go and dispel that vicious rumor, or I'm going to give truth to it. So, but I got to find out. So next time, I promise I'll have the numbers for you.
Now, is Bedford still, cranes everywhere, is building, pro business, unlike our little Goffstown here?
Well, I'm a guest, so I don't want to go and cast any mud. But no, the only thing I think we have too much of is there seem to be these banks popping up everywhere.
Yes,
and I don't really get there. We get like a Prima bank, and like a First something or other, and then there was a new one that's right by the Whole Foods that popped up in that whole little enclave over there. And
how much?
I think it's Provident Bank or something.
How much money do you guys have?
Well, that's the thing. I don't get why you need so many. So. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a market for it, and we welcome all these banks to Bedford.
Oh yeah.
But that's the only thing I think we're overserved, because I go to the Citizens across the street from the Whole Foods.
Oh.
And I don't know. It's just kind of convenient. But that's the head scratcher for me. So we seem to be kind of dominating in the bank marketplace in Bedford.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you need any banking.
Just go to Bedford?
Just go to Bedford. We've got a lot of competition, a lot of choice. So
yeah, no, my wife still has our home account with Citizens.
Okay.
I dumped them years ago and went to St. Mary's. Once they started charging for checkbooks, I said, "What? I'm not paying for a checkbook." And to be nice to Citizens, which I normally is not. They are offering free check-in again, so it's like, and they asked me if I'll come back, and I said no. I like St. Mary's; they've treated me well, and I think the credit unions. There's a bunch of them in Manchester, several of them, and I think they are different, more personable. That's what I feel.
Well, I think because they're not the big national chains, they probably put a lot more stock into to local relations and things of that nature. So,
but my wife did like, when we went to Florida, we stopped at an ATM on the way, in Florida.
Oh yeah,
Citizens, and
that part of it's easy.
That is, so because I always tell my wife, hey, when are you going to switch this over to, but that's kind of her checkbook,
right?
Their names on it, and so the St. Mary's stuff is mine. And so I guess it's still going to stay there.
Yeah.
But I do got a couple videos of a resident of yours.
Okay.
Hopefully you don't mind that I air. Hopefully she doesn't donate to your campaign, because if we talk about it,
I am wildly popular in town. It's possible, but we'll see. So let's play the video and see what she has to say.
And if she says anything offensive to you that upsets you, we do have our safe. What is it called? Safe space area. Is that what
safe
they call
space,
it?
Yeah,
safe
so
space.
No, and as I do before every show,
I
went around with the producer of the show, and he, demarcated all the areas that I can go to in case things get a little dicey.
Yes.
So my feelings will be protected.
Absolutely, and hopefully we don't offend anybody out in the audience that's watching us. But I'm sure imagine every home has a safe space area.
If they don't, what an excellent piece of legislation to bring next term.
That's it.
So
we could mandate
the Burt Fromuth mandated residential safe space.
That's it, and we could have the government officials go to every home.
Yep.
And check out the area to make sure it's up to code.
Well, because we're out to do good.
We're out. I'll save the children.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, here's this first video. Is this the number one? Yes, it is. Yeah, here it is. It's coming right up right now.
The breeze where you scream, but he's a socialist! Yeah, he is a socialist Democrat.
Sarah?
Now, let me explain what that is. He's a Democrat. He just believes that people who don't have the same advantages as you and me should be given the same advantages as you and me.
It's just that simple. It's that simple. It's that simple. Is it that simple, Sarah? From after World War II until 1972, the poverty rate in America was going down. In the mid-60s, there developed a few national welfare programs to help the poor. Just give it to them. It's that simple. And what happened? After 1972, the rate of decline in poverty stopped, and it started going up. And we have more poor now. Why? Because it's not that simple, Sarah.
What do you think about that with Sarah Silverman? She's a resident of Bedford. Now, is she a full-time or just part-time because she's this movie person?
I don't think she's full-time anymore.
Yeah.
I think she comes probably by to see the family. But she probably doesn't vote for me either. So.
Oh, you don't think she's a donor or? A
No.
Okay.
You know,
I don't want to get you in trouble.
I probably don't drop off my flyer at the Silverman household.
Yes.
But and it's not that I don't think at the end of the day she doesn't have a good heart. I value all my constituents, Republican or Democrat. It's just I think her fundamental understanding of how all of this works is just horribly. She needs a lot of education, I think, in terms of how a market structure works. It's not as simple as getting a $20 million contract to do a movie and then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we're supposed to send everybody to Juilliard, where she went. I'm assuming, and well, we have more videos to show, but I'm sensing a theme here from her.
That's it, and and I want to thank I don't know who produced this. Timo is the guy named. I don't know who he is, but I found it on YouTube. As a matter of fact, it was on Facebook, so I went to YouTube and grabbed it. So I do thank him for the video. For allowing me to grab little sections of it. But the thing, I think he's right. Prior to, say, the mid-60s, even 70s, before we came out with the welfare system, government welfare system, it was all local. I mean, you're too young, but your parents would remember it. I really don't remember it, but we used to have an overseer of the poor. And this was in Vermont, and I think all states had it.
Yep.
So if you were down and out, you would go see the overseer of the poor, and they would kind of, judge,
right?
And say, well, are you really down and out? And he kind of knew most people, and take grandma,
right?
If grandpa passes on, which most grandpas they always leave earlier than the grandmother. I remember looking at some of the old 30s and 40s town reports in Barnet, Vermont, and it says, gave Mrs. So-and-so, $10 worth of groceries and stuff like that. So we took care of people, and I support that. But it's the welfare system we have today that really is just out of line. So I think we need to go back. How do we back this up?
Right. That's an even bigger conversation. Well, let's see what else the fine resident from Bedford has to say.
This one's real quick. And here it is, the number 2 video.
Good Lord, don't worry. Under President Sanders, you can still become a super rich. It's just that your fellow hardworking citizens don't have to feed their children cat food in order for you to do it.
Now, a little potty mouth on her.
Yeah. She's spirited.
Yes, yeah. I guess, when you're the elitist, when you're...
the thing that bothers me, with this is, she's the super rich, bad word. And she's worth millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Did she force anybody? Was anybody forced to eat cat food as a result of the wealth that she accumulated? It's like, it just doesn't have that brand of credibility when someone who has far more money than we'll ever accumulate is yelling at us about.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that part loses me almost right away. But it's the assumption that everybody that makes $1, hardworking or not, is doing it on the backs of people that are having money taken away from them, and that's not.
Yeah.
are there evil, greedy corporations out there? Absolutely. But, is that the standard bearer for anybody that makes $1? Absolutely not,
Well, and what is the backbone of this country is mainly small businesses, and most small business owners value their employees.
Absolutely.
And take care of them through their wages and benefits and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And, again, it's just someone that's not really participated in our economic system, making judgment on our economic system. Even though I shouldn't say hasn't participated, she's benefited from our economic system, so we can pay movie stars that kind of money. But she's not what I would call a hardworking, productive member of society. So.
Well, and the reason I wanted to bring her in here was, I'd love to have her Skype in. That would be cool. So, Sarah, if by chance somebody sends you this video and you want to Skype in and justify what you're doing here, I'm sure you'll be able to look me up and find out. That would be cool.
Well, we both had the same teachers at Dairyfield, so I want to know where her education differed from mine.
Oh, you guys went to the same school?
Yeah.
Really?
So,
wow.
I took a different path than she did.
So you must have had a different teacher.
We must have.
Because her teacher or whoever taught her to go to the extreme left.
Not a very radical school. I mean, they have their moments, but that seems to be a little off kilter.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, she's mainly speaking about Bernie Sanders, but really, is Hillary much different? I mean, we're going to keep Obamacare.
Well, I mean, I don't want either of them to be our next commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
But I see why people get, and we've talked about this before, why people like Bernie is because he just comes across as more honest than Hillary. Doesn't mean his ideas are any better than hers, though.
Yes.
He's a more honest guy, but he still wants to take your hard work, productive efforts to feed your family and then redistribute them to everybody else. Yes. Especially those that, in many cases, choose not to go and work hard to feed their family.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why when they redistribute his delegates to Hillary, he gets upset. But I'm going, Bernie, this is what you want. Let's share your delegates.
They should call that the Bernie system. Okay.
That's it.
Hillary's not doing as well in some of those states, and she could use some help.
Well, what's really funny, and I mean, rightfully, the Democrats are right on this. My Democrat friends, when they're screaming at me about it, not personally to me, but about the situation. Right. Bernie overwhelmingly won New Hampshire.
Oh God.
And 70-something%, I think.
It was high 60s. It was
is it high 60s? Okay. And she gets half the delegates, and he gets half. Okay, how does that work? And but that's
the society. People need to understand this at home. That's the society that many, not obviously every Democrat voter out there, but many in the hierarchy of the elite. That's the society they envision, where everybody competes, but everybody walks home with a trophy. No one's better off for the competition.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's exactly what we saw take place here in New Hampshire.
Everybody wins.
Everybody got a first place trophy.
Yes. Yeah. Well, here's number 3 in the last one, and this one's pretty good. I'll show you the video. Here it is.
Because without taking a penny from super PACs, corporations, or special interest groups, Bernie Sanders raised over $100 million from over 5 million individual donations from human people, averaging $27 each. And with that, he proved that what is right can also be possible.
There's a difference between government and politics. I say socialism doesn't work, and they're pie in the sky. She says it's not true because look at all the money he's raised. Well, that's not anything. That's just politics. Nothing follows from it. It's not even parallel.
Well, there's the last one, and that was from Mimi Patrol. They have up in the corner of the video. So I guess if they're the ones that produce it,
well,
it's Mimi.
Thank you to them.
Yeah, I do thank them for doing that. But I guess I guess I don't know where I am on super PACs. I'm not a big fan of them. But that's what she was saying, is how Bernie raised all this money. But most of his money comes from California. The Fruit Loops out there, because. And for him to get elected in Vermont, because I'm from Vermont, if you look at his filings, about 80% of his money is California money. It's the nuts out there that want to keep him in office.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as familiar with his personal finances, but what she's getting excited about is that he just has a lot of fans out there that are getting, and that's fantastic.
It is.
I understand what she's saying in terms of well, she's not really saying it, but I think what she's trying to say is that it just seems like more of a democratic process with him in terms of
Yeah.
kind of voter input and assistance with his campaign. And that's fantastic that he's raised all that money from all those folks. But at the end of the day, you know, and I have my reservations about super PACs and stuff like that too, but at the end of the day, think about what a super PAC does in terms of just pouring money into different campaigns and races, congressional,
Yes.
governor, Senate, whatever it might be. All they have the power to do is just buy more ad space, airtime, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it's almost kind of like you don't like all this money in politics and the election system. Well, it's kind of a commentary on the voter, though, because at some level they wouldn't do this if they didn't have statistics to back up. Well, geez, if we inundate the airwaves with just one candidate all the time, we can
Exactly.
get that sheepish population to go in that direction. And so if the people want less PAC money in politics, stop automatically going for the candidates that you hear about the most. And I think it's incumbent upon us as voters to do our research on our options so that we're not just saying, well, geez, I've seen that guy's ad 15 times. Second, though, take a look at this presidential race. Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, the two guys that have disavowed PAC money the most, the guys that are really taking all the headlines.
Yes.
Hillary's having to pull some pretty shady stuff to keep her lead on the Democrat side, but without the super delegate situation, Bernie could be the leader on the Democrat side, and Trump is the far and away leader on the Republican side. So
by a lot.
right.
Yeah. And I know with Trump, I think, and Bernie, as he is speaking to the masses, where Trump says, down with government, and I'm like, yoo-hoo.
Right.
And where Bernie is saying pro-government, and we're going to give you everything, free college, Obama phones, and everything else. And sadly, there's a group of those people like, yoo-hoo.
Right. Well, I mean,
down. And where Hillary is the same, blah blah.
well, that's the thing is like if you're going to vote for Hillary, and I kind of felt like this way on the Jeb Bush side too when he was running.
Exactly.
If you vote for like a Hillary or Jeb Bush, aren't you just kind of casting a ballot and saying, well, geez, I really, I think the way things are pretty darn good, and let's stay the course on that. I mean, that's a pretty vanilla vote to cast because Hillary's not going to come in here with any fundamental change. She's not going to make the government a better place.
No.
She's not going to make the country a better place. Same as I felt about Jeb Bush. Let's give some other family a chance to run the country. And thankfully, Republican voters felt the same way. On the Hillary side, again, if she hadn't been pulling some of these tactics with her friend Ray Buckley,
Yes.
it could be a different electoral map for Bernie.
Absolutely.
But he's not going to get that chance. And
that's how Ray Buckley got her the 6 delegates, and Bernie got 6 for winning the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know our friend Leon Rideout, a representative, he's been on the show before, up in Lancaster. I know him and Buckley. I guess they don't exchange Christmas cards.
Probably not. I would imagine they see eye to eye on too much. So.
Yeah. I've seen some of his the tweets that go back and forth between them. And it's like, wow, I don't think they like each other.
Yeah, no. That's entertaining. That and seeing Representative Rideout also exchange tweets with Senator Woodburn can be pretty amusing. They're running against one another. I think it's in District 1 up in Colossus.
Which is a huge district.
Huge district, and we're wishing Leon all the best of luck up there. So, that's an entertaining.
Oh, that is. That's going to
battle.
be that's going to be the race. Really, one of the races to watch.
I think so. Leon's very popular, even though it's a Democrat-lean district.
Yeah.
Leon
never used to be.
Yeah.
Used to be pretty conservative at one time.
Yep.
But sadly, all the jobs are gone and missing, and if we look at them, we're going, all right, where'd those go? But we're going to take a small break, and we'll be right back. Make sure you come back, and we got a few things we wanted to talk about. Taxpayers Association, and we can talk a little bit about Kelly Ayotte and Hassan, her run, and maybe even expanded Medicaid. We'll touch base on that just a little. So make sure you come right back. Welcome back again. I'm John Burt, and we're talking with Representative Bart Fromuth down in Bedford. And now I heard that down on Wallace Road in Goffstown's doing pretty well, but I heard over in Wallace Road going into Bedford's not doing as well. I see, I've never traveled that way, but it was just leaked to me.
Yeah, no, I used to go to Harvest Market a lot about 7 months ago.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go right through Wallace, past the dump. But
You mean transfer station?
Transfer
Yeah,
station.
you don't want to offend anybody. UNH will be calling me up going, hey, what do you got that guy on there for?
Right, yeah.
So, we do apologize anybody that if
but yeah, the last 6-7 months, there's been a very elongated project on Wallace Road that created a little bit of a change in my weekly habits. I also like to go to the Inside Scoop to get my ice cream. That's also down by Harvest Market.
Yes.
Whining Butcher's down there, and
yeah.
while this project's been going on, I have not visited any of those 3 locations because my direct shot is cut off, so I have to go all the way around out to 114 and then come back around.
Now, is it a private sector or is the town?
I think the town's handling that one. So it's
I
been
wonder if they're
ongoing.
going to milk it out.
So if you're watching this show, hurry it up.
Yeah. See, well, I'm sure some Goffstown residents travel through that way.
Yes. So
Yeah,
no, it's been trying.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
but hopefully they clear it up soon.
Yeah. Well, it's like when they do our roundabouts here. They love building roundabouts here in
Yeah.
Goffstown, and just backs people way up.
Yep.
And it's a disaster why they're doing, when they did the sewer and where was it on Mass Road
Okay.
in Pinardville? I almost want to say that was 2.5 years.
Yeah.
They milked that out. And the businesses were all screaming. But I did want to talk a little bit. Last week I had Keith Ammon, Representative Ammon from
Yep.
New Boston in here, and he has a New Boston Taxpayers Association. Does Bedford have
We
one?
have a Taxpayers Association.
You do?
Yeah, I'm a member of the Taxpayers Association over there. And,
Yeah.
serves our citizenry well. They put out a handy voter's guide.
Really?
Every town race and then state race. So I always find that helpful. So
Because see, I do a TV show once a year that tells voters how I'm going to vote.
okay.
Because I can't tell people how to vote, but
Yep.
but I can tell them how I'm voting.
Right.
And some people watch it and they listen to me and then they make an
Well, it's
informed decision.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's tough too because before I got involved, and I'm sure this is true of yourself, it was really difficult to keep up with like the lower level state races, kind of like our positions, and
Yes.
who are the right candidates. So having the BTA put out those guidelines in terms of who's best for our tax dollars, I think really helps because you see a lot of folks show up to the polls with their little green.
Really? So it does
flyer.
work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I can't wait to get the Goffstown one moving. Hopefully I can get some volunteers to run it because I don't have time and I don't want to head it anyways.
yeah.
But I think I can get some people to.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think it's been a big help for us in Bedford. So
Yeah, and hopefully it'd make a small difference. Keeping some of the.
yeah,
taxes down.
we don't win every initiative on the ballot, and we don't get all of our candidates elected. But the success rate is definitely over 50% in terms of the stuff we go for. I feel like so.
Wow, yeah, that is good. Because GTV, the selectmen come in here mainly. It used to be Scott Gross. He's not a selectman anymore, but
Yep.
he would come in here and tell everybody to vote for everything because we got to build government and I know I'm taking more money, but it's only one meal out. He used that one time. How many times do you go out a month? And somebody said 4 times. Well, this will cost you 1 meal a month. That's it. And it's like, well, that's my meal out.
Well, it's like putting the frog in the
Yes.
on the stove with the boiling water,
Yeah.
1 degree every minute.
Yeah. But he loves spending. I bet you he would go get your money out of your right pocket if he could. Down in Bedford.
Well,
if he could tax Bedford, I bet you he would. But I don't know that for sure. So but I did want to touch base because there's been a little bit of screaming, like from who is that singer there? Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, Bruce Springsteen, yep.
You know, about the North Carolina.
Won't go to North Carolina anymore.
Yeah, you want to explain to the viewers what happened down there that, the legislators passed a bill?
Yeah, so there's a bill that was passed that I'm sure you've seen in the news media recently. They label it the LGBT rights bill, I think, is how they're trying to push it. It was an HB2 down in North Carolina. So it was the trailer bill to the budget, most likely, it sounds like.
Oh, okay.
And so what they did was they established a law that they prohibited anybody from using a gender-specific restroom that wasn't assigned to the gender that they were when they were born. Yeah. So this created problems in the transgender community, because obviously many of them are making that transformation from male to female or female to male, and so there was a lot of outcry saying, well, geez, now you're treading on my rights, and the people down in North Carolina legislators are Nazis, and just all sorts of terrible stuff. And I don't think the law is perfect. I think the birth thing's a little difficult because there are people around us that have made these transitions that I could never tell.
Yeah, that have gone all the way.
Right, and this is an issue. It's not just one side of the issue. I think I'd be very uncomfortable if I were a man and a woman walked into the restroom. That would make me uncomfortable. Not like fearful, but I would be uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think a woman would rightfully feel uncomfortable if a man, dressed in a dress or something like that, walked into their restroom. And so this is a way of trying to figure out how to figure it out. Was it the best solution? Probably not, but I don't think these people should be demonized. But then you had Bruce Springsteen saying, I'm not going to do concerts. You had Governor Cuomo in New York saying he's banning travel to the state of North Carolina for New York State employees.
Really?
The mayor of San Francisco banned travel to the state of North Carolina. And so, again, they would use the most horrendous terms to describe these legislators down in North Carolina is that they're evil and they hate these folks. And I don't think that's the case at all. So then I'm watching the news yesterday on ABC, and there's two homosexual men in Bangladesh that ran a homosexual newspaper, and they were hacked to death by a mob of citizens in Bangladesh outside the paper. And I'm thinking to myself, we've got, I think, really the privilege of having these nice debates here in the United States, these nice calm debates about bathroom usage. Yeah. And people are being murdered in other sections of the world. And you'd think, well, geez, when's Governor Cuomo or Governor Hassan going to go and ban non-essential travel to Bangladesh? Yeah. Well, people say, oh, geez, it's not, when do they ever go to Bangladesh? Well, when does the governor's people from New York ever go down to North Carolina? I mean, exactly. The same thing. Where's the outcry? These people were murdered. So I just think that with all the crazy talk and the extremist talk about how terrible other groups and other thought processes are here in the United States, I mean, we've got it pretty darn good, I think, in comparison to the rest of the world. Yeah. And just, people should start putting stuff in perspective, and it begs the question, because there's a lot of practices, especially towards women and homosexuals in the LGBT community in the Middle East. Yeah, yes. And you see it happening in Germany, and especially with the refugee crisis they have going on. And I just wonder how the sensitive left here in the United States would treat these situations if it's happening on U.S. soil, where you have a woman stoned to death for adultery. Yeah. Are they just going to dismiss it because it happens to be someone's culture?
Well, and then there's parts of Europe, England, France, and that area where the police won't even go into certain sections of the extreme. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good Muslims. There's a lot of Muslims that just want to be left alone like you and I. But there's they're estimating tens of millions of the extreme ones. Well, what's going to happen when they start coming to the U.S. and saying, oh, well, we don't like gay people? Where most Americans just say, if you're gay, who cares? But they do care, and they're going to start killing.
And that's the thing that I just wonder with some of my friends on the left who, some of their positions, I agree with in terms of the tolerance and stuff, absolutely. But I just wonder if they take it to the extreme where they want to broadcast every little baker that doesn't want to sell to a gay couple, and they want to, these are the worst things that have ever happened. But then when they see these things happen in other cultures, they're totally silent about the atrocities that are taking place. Because it goes against their paradigm of never saying anything bad or disruptive about people from another country or another culture, but those cultures clash significantly with our culture. Now, again, that doesn't go across the board. I'm just saying that these incidents will pop up, and then it'll be a question of, do you go and kind of celebrate, well, that's their culture, that's how they were raised, and therefore we're just going to disregard the fact that they're anti-woman and anti-homosexuals?
Yeah.
Or do we say, no, you're in the United States of America, this is how we do things, and we're not going to tolerate that?
Yeah.
Because I hope it's not going to be a double standard, because that's what I'm worried about.
Well, down in Florida, there was, what do they call it, the honor killing? Where a father killed one of his daughters.
Right.
And I think he was Muslim, descent. And they wanted to, I can't remember the reason, it was quite a while, a couple of years ago. But a judge looked at Sharia law saying, well, that's their culture, but luckily another judge or somehow something happened where the judge says, okay, now we're going to try you for murder because that's what you did. You murdered your daughter.
Right, and I'm a big believer in as you are in kind of freedom of expression, freedom of religion, except when it hurts other people.
Yes.
Except when it hurts other people. And that's a very important distinction to recognize. And so while I welcome anybody to come to this country and practice their religion peacefully, I'm just worried about now we're getting all these different, geez, I don't want to offend that guy, but he's this thing, and it just seems to get so convoluted that we're really losing our bearings. And that's when I say to myself, geez, as long as it's another American, we have no problem going and getting extremist in terms of what that person pretends to be, because they might disagree slightly with somebody else. But I see this stuff going around the rest of the world, and I'm not seeing President Obama talk about, again, we're shutting down our embassy in Bangladesh and all these other things. Where's the human rights outcry? And that's where I'm just wondering, what's going to change here? Because something's got to give.
Well, like you said, even when they stone a woman to death, and I'm going, for one, I can't comprehend even attempting to do that. How do you do that? But people are doing it.
Well, it's like that guy in the video we watched, when he's kind of jabbing back at Cyril Silva, and he says it's not that simple.
Yes.
It's not that simple. You can't just say, oh, well, that's their culture, we're going to honor that. No. It's not that simple. I mean, there are solutions in there, but it's not going to be as clear cut, and everyone's not going to be happy. People are going to get offended, but we just can't treat everything as so black and white. And these are questions that we're going to have to be answering when you're bringing in tens of thousands of refugees into this country that have a very, very different culture and background from what we have, and we've got a great history of migration to this country.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I want to continue that.
Absolutely.
That tradition. But
legal migration, but we have to go ahead and start looking at these issues. And I'm not saying cut anybody off. I'm just saying we have to be rational and reasonable about how these two cultures are going to collide, so that we have the appropriate answers when they do. Yeah. Now you got young children, right? Or is it just one?
I have one, but another one on the way. So.
Oh, great! Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
But what was funny is, I can't remember, some mother in Texas. I'm trying to think if she strangled her kid or something like that. But somebody says, "Oh my God, I can't imagine doing that." And it was just a joke, so don't take me serious here. I said, well, what do you mean? When my daughter was 16, 17, I thought about it every day. And I don't know if any of you experience that, but when your kid gets to 15 and all of a sudden you don't know nothing.
Right.
There are days you want to strangle the little monster, but it's acting it out.
Right.
I always went to my safe space area from my daughter and said, okay, John, don't strangle Heather today. I'd like to strangle her, but I'm not going to.
Right.
And, but I know real parents sometimes do hurt their kids, and I just think of it. Real quick, it was just in the paper. This woman, well, she looks 12 in the paper. It happened down in Nashua. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, but NH1 News did the report on it. And she does. She looks like she's 12, 13 years old, but she's getting a domestic violence because she was beaten on her girlfriend. So that, there must have been lesbian women.
Right.
But her child was in the car seat in the vehicle. I don't agree with what happened. And I don't know the whole story, but the newspaper article read that she was cited with 6 violations, or crimes, against the child because the child witnessed it.
Really?
And I'm seeing 6. Okay, there was 1 act of domestic violence, and you need to be prosecuted for it.
Right.
But how do you get 6? And then there's like 6 or 5 felony charges on this woman because, 1, she slapped a woman, and then she, had a knife, so there's a second one. And it just seemed like the police piled a ton of charges to see what's going to stick in court. And
but that's the thing. And so I always, to your point, because I know exactly where you're going with that.
Yeah.
You juggle between the police shouldn't be pouring on all those charges. It's irresponsible and reckless. But on the other hand, it's our problem too as a legislature because we give them all these charges to bring in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you guys saw the headline about the riot in Bedford over the weekend.
Riot-like.
Riot-like.
Yes.
We don't have riots.
Well, what's a riot-like? What does that mean?
Riot-like. I mean, it's
like a riot,
but it's just light of. It's riot-like. But again, we're Bedford. We would never tolerate such a thing. Okay. I mean, there were some great articles, or great comments on the bottom of the Patch article.
I love reading the comments. I'm sure the viewers, they must look at the comments all the time.
It said like someone's Wi-Fi went down in Bedford, and it was, I can take a joke. So anyway,
and that's when you guys rioted.
Oh yeah, or someone had whole milk put in their Starbucks coffee.
Oh, that would do it.
It was a whole bunch. You got to go read it if you haven't. So anyway. I'm reading the Patch article, and one of the guys that was charged in this riot-like atmosphere was charged with felonious use of a bulletproof vest.
Yes, I put it on my Facebook.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, he's just wearing a bulletproof vest.
Yeah,
that's a felony.
Yeah,
because he was involved in a fight-like atmosphere, a riot-like, and I'm just like, when is enough?
Yeah.
In terms of the laws we pass. If someone's going to go out and shoot somebody else or try to shoot them, we've got laws to cover that stuff. But we're going to the extremes. We're saying, well, geez, now you were prepared for battle, so...
Yes, and now it's another crime.
I mean,
Yeah, well, just charge him with rioting.
Yeah, but like...
That's it.
It was one of the additional charges they hit this guy with, so...
Yeah. Just pile them on, see what sticks in court. I think that's what they're doing.
Representative Fromuth is going to put in a bill to repeal... the felony body vest wearing, because what's the point? You've probably got assault and battery. You've got attempted assault, attempted murder, all sorts of things you can latch onto if you want to put someone in jail. But that's just going to the extreme. So, I'm sure witnessing a crime now too. That's something else we should focus on for next term.
Yeah.
If you can just pour on because someone happened to witness a fight. I mean, please.
Yeah. Well, where was that woman? Was that? I think that was also in Nashua, where the woman was.
Well, I hope it wasn't in Bedford, because then we're going to start to get a little bit of reputation.
Well, she was beat up and I think sexually assaulted, and 4 people watched it. 1 guy videotaped it. Nobody stepped in, and I'm like, "Are you serious?" But I guess that's what you do now.
Well,
you just pull out your cell phone and videotape everything.
Or maybe they were wearing bulletproof vests and they didn't want to get charged with
that's true.
felonious wearing.
Well, going down Massachusetts, I just heard a commercial in New Hampshire, and viewers, do what you want, but I'm telling you what I'm going to do. It says, if you see something suspicious, call this number, and it's like the FBI, the local police.
Yeah.
I'm not calling it, because remember the terrorist act out in California? They went into, what was that, for some holiday party, Christmas party, and they, the 2 Muslim, the husband and wife, I think they were, and they killed a bunch of people. The neighbor says, we saw a lot of going-ons, but if we reported it, we'll be racist. And so that's what I'm looking at is, John Burt, I'm this extreme, whack job onto the right, that's what I've been called. If I report something, then I'm going to be racist or a hate monger, and I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to report. Or unless if it's something, if I saw a group of people, loading a nuclear weapon, I'd probably report that. But most of the time,
it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because right now we just have a situation where the government is trying to legislate people's thought processes, their morality towards one another, their treatment of different people, different groups. And again, I'm sure some of the people voting for this, like, their heart's in the right place, but the government can't control every facet of life. And so it comes in these weird, awkward, kind of strange bedfellow situations where, you know, see something, say something, you know, except if, you know, and then this laundry list of, you know, the person's of a different race than you are, or, you know, person's wearing a hoodie, or whoever it might be. Because you're right, because it does, like, you're like, well, geez, that, like, really, you know, butts heads with what I've been told and taught. And so I see exactly what you're saying. I think we need to go back to the time of common sense behavior. The government should have an interest in common sense from its citizens.
Government don't
but
have
not
common
mandate
sense.
it. You know what I'm saying? And so, if you're going to have people that hate, they're going to hate.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to have the A word that Miss Silverman from Bedford used.
Yes.
Those people exist. You cannot legislate them out of existence.
No. Now, do you think, how many years ago was it when Obama said, rat your neighbor out? And I can't even remember what it was over.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it was. But they retracted it. You know, not to rat your neighbor out. Because they got in a lot of trouble. I mean, I wish, I'll get to Google that and I'll try to remember it. Because I just remember that it was, you know, the public really did not take well. Well, I'm wondering if this new thing that they're doing, you know, rat, not your neighbor, but the guy down the road.
Right.
You know, I wonder if that's just to get everybody used to over the next 20 years, you know, because that's how they do it. You know, they do it in 10, 20 years increments. So, you know, our grandkids, they get used to, oh yeah, I rat my neighbor out all the time, you know, to the government, you know, something that way.
Well, I mean, it's just, you know, it helps for government efficiency purposes, especially if they're trying to centralize power and information. Yeah. They want as many active eyes and ears out there as possible. Yeah. Again, I don't think a lot of this stuff starts from a nefarious place. It just gets to a nefarious place, if that makes any sense to anybody out there.
But then how do we back it up?
Well, that's the point exactly. So, you know, if you take a look at people that grew up in like Eastern Germany with the Stasi, you know, the secret police and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You know, we make comparisons to stuff like that and talk about where things like Real ID and things like that could go. Yeah, I don't think, and I think you know share the same belief that people aren't starting from a nefarious position. They think, oh, we're doing so much good by collecting this information, centralizing it, and then using it to catch the bad guys. That's where it starts, but then as it balloons out, it always gets to a bad place, and then there's no oversight on it.
Well, my committee, we met today, Criminal Justice, and they passed a bill to, and it's only the extreme people in prison, you know, which I kind of like, okay, I can understand this.
Yep.
To do a DNA swab. They're going to be the first in New Hampshire that it's going to be law that they have to give a DNA. You know, so you're extreme prisoners. And what that does is if they get out and they commit, you know, robbery, you know, rape or whatever, you know, the DNA may help convict them to another crime. Or even a cold case, that's what was brought up. But, you know, I said it's a slippery slope, and I voted no, because what's going to happen is, all right, so it's the extreme.
Right.
You know, we can all agree to that.
Right.
But what is it going to be in 20 years?
Right. They'll be, oh, it worked really well with the serial rapists and murderers that we had, so let's do it for the inmates. Then let's do it for anybody that, anybody that has a misdemeanor. Then anybody gets pulled over for a speeding ticket. Yeah. Because, well, geez, look how well it's worked to catch all these other people.
Yes.
And now they, you know, developed this huge database, and the people at the top are the ones that can do anything they want with it. I mean, look at, like, you know, a lot of people have a lot of emotions about Edward Snowden. But if that guy can't blow the whistle, who can? And then if you go and look what he was actually saying when he first came out, not all the documents that were released, but he was talking about the practices of some of his colleagues at the NSA. They were going in, like, getting into the bank records and the social media accounts of their ex-girlfriends and you know, their enemies, and like, you put people with that kind of power in a situation, they're probably going to abuse it.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the fear, and that's what he brought to light. And I don't think enough was made about all the things that were going on at the NSA with people looking into non-security related situations.
Well, then, yeah, exactly. You know, we just look at that, and I know on Facebook they just had, what was it? They were talking about Snowden, and you know how, you know, there's a lot of people that say he should be hung, and other people, they say he's the great guy for ratting the government out. And I'm thinking, I'm kind of glad I know what he said.
I am too. But I mean, think of it this way. I mean, if that's what they're doing right now, someone's going to get the bright idea in their head. Well, geez, we're the party in power. We control the NSA right now. I've got a tough opponent coming up. Let's do a deep dive into all of their records and find the nastiest stuff possible so we can, discredit them on the campaign. I mean, that's where these things naturally go to. It's only a matter of time, and it's probably already being done to some extent right now. Yeah. And that's why we have to limit the powers and the abilities of the government, because it's not worth the pretend security that they're trying to wrap us around in.
Well, one thing I was happy about Apple sticking to their guns and not release, diving in. And Apple said they would open up that one phone, but the NSA or whoever it was, the FBI, they said they wanted access to that phone, but how do you do it? And but I guess they did figure it out how to get in there. But Apple said they'll fix that.
Yeah, well, hopefully they do, and I'm glad that they stood up as well, because it's about time that we got some of these. Especially, I think Apple's kind of a left-leaning type of corporation.
I do too.
Where they can see where some of these nefarious roads are going and get some perspective. So.
Yeah. And allegedly, what is it, Snapchat, which I don't do, the picture disappears or something.
That's the one the kids are, that's even before my time. So
yeah. So your daughter is going to have to show you how to use it.
I'm going to raise my daughter in a cave, probably in northern New Hampshire somewhere. No technology.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. And when she, I should have locked my daughter up at 13, but maybe it's even earlier than that now.
I just don't. I see some kids, 4 or 5 years old, walking around with cell phones.
Oh, I know.
Why? They don't even know what they are yet. Why? Don't
Yeah.
No, don't do it.
Yeah. Don't give them a Facebook page or anything. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, and we didn't even touch on base with AI, so we'll have to bring that up next time.
We'll talk about the heating up Senate race. Maybe we can even talk about the very interesting CD1 Democrat primary, which has been grabbing some headlines lately between Porter and O'Connor.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'll have to hear that.
Oh, it's a good one.
All right.
It's a doozy.
Well, I'll have to have you back on. Well, thanks a lot, Bart.
Thanks a lot, Sean.
I appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.